This clip is brought to you by Piedmontese Beef, the best beef on the planet. Use code POWER for 25% off your entire order. Enjoy the clip and enjoy your meat.
Nsima, we were talking earlier off air about this whole narrative about how you should restrict dietary protein.
I was just about to ask you. Let's go.
And I think that that's probably the one biggest mistake that I have seen in my career over the last 5 years. It's really picked up, maybe 5-7 years.
The like mTOR thing?
Right.
Yeah, like apparently, I'm quoting what he said. David Sinclair literally said that low mTOR predicts longevity. And on your side of things, you're like, well, no, muscle.
Let's talk about mTOR.
Yeah.
So mTOR is mechanistic target of rapamycin. It's in all cells. It's essentially been maintained over an entire human span. Mechanistic target of rapamycin is the key. It is a key trigger for this muscle protein synthesis. There's multiple ways to stimulate mTOR, right? So insulin stimulates mTOR. Amino acids, particularly leucine, is this stimulatory mechanism of mTOR. mTOR is exquisitely sensitive to different stimuli depending on where it is. So let's talk about mTOR in skeletal muscle. mTOR in skeletal muscle is exquisitely sensitive to protein. Specifically, mTOR, say in the pancreas or liver, is more sensitive to insulin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the concept that mTOR is universal and overall you should decrease mTOR makes no sense. mTOR is in skeletal muscle very beneficial, stimulated by dietary protein, by resistance exercise, by insulin. Maybe that's why protein has this phase 1 insulin response potentially. mTOR is also stimulated by excess calories, excess carbohydrates, insulin, excess calories. So if you want to make a bigger impact, then why wouldn't you reduce insulin stimulation through dietary carbohydrates? Because then you are decreasing mTOR stimulation in liver, pancreas, all these other tissues. That would make much more sense to me than saying, no, it's dietary protein that is stimulating mTOR in skeletal muscle. Oh, wait, but also resistance exercise stimulates mTOR in skeletal muscle? So someone has to explain to me so I can understand why the segment would be, okay, well, it's the dietary protein issue. When excess insulin and excess carbohydrates and excess calories would be much more potent and impact potentially in a negative way. Not only that, the big thing was like mTOR and cancer, right? mTOR is driving cancer. Well, cancer is a disease of the genome. And I just want to take a step back and think about it. So this is a disease of the genome. Also, what kind of cancer are we talking about? Are we talking about breast cancer? Are we talking about colon cancer? Are we talking about prostate cancer? Do you know what one of the biggest risk factors for all those cancers are?
Obesity.
Oh, yeah. So again, explain to me why taking a mechanism of mTOR and saying we should reduce dietary protein to improve longevity, how that's going to work. Not only that, what improves survivability across all-cause mortality in cancer? Anyone? Skeletal muscle. So muscle. So one of the biggest killers in cancer is cancer cachexia, which is this highly catabolic state. And we've seen individuals with cancer and it destroys their skeletal muscle. Cancer cachexia, the body can only lose so much muscle before you die. So again, explain to me where this is coming from and just show me one randomized control human trial that alone stimulating mTOR with dietary protein that is going to stimulate muscle is going to decrease longevity.
I mean, wouldn't there be so many, I know we've had some bodybuilders recently pass, but wouldn't so many athletes, people been increasing their protein since the 70s. So wouldn't we see their lives? If that was the case, people that eat good amounts of protein, I mean, would probably die fairly young, and you're not really seeing that.
Correct. And the idea, again, we are talking about, health span, and we're talking, bodybuilders, athletes are actually at the extreme end. So there's bodybuilder, athletes, these are also at the extreme end. Now, the other extreme end from a physiology perspective is aging, the geriatric population who have lost skeletal muscle. We know what happens to those people. And they fall, they break a hip, they're sarcopenic, which means low muscle mass strength, function. What also rides along with a decrease in muscle mass are blood sugar problems, all the things that we're worried about. So again, how do we protect skeletal muscle? You protect skeletal muscle two main ways. You train and you eat dietary protein.
Break protein down and eat a bunch of it.
Right. And the idea is very unidimensional. It's very narrow-minded to say we should reduce our dietary protein to reduce mTOR signaling. That's like saying you should reduce resistance exercise because resistance exercise stimulates mTOR. We have to make sure that the primary outcomes that are required for overall health and wellness are the primary outcomes. Muscle determines a big part of longevity in terms of prevention and protecting people.
What about like centurions? I think they're called that, right? Is that people that live to be 100? I forget.
Yeah.
Am I saying that correctly? I don't know.
They're doing all kinds of things.
But I know, but a lot of times they're very small. So maybe there's...
So you're saying, yeah?
I don't know. Maybe there's some truth to like, just because it's such a smaller person, maybe there's just like less protein. I don't know.
Maybe, but maybe it's not a protein issue.
Yeah.
Maybe. And again, why don't we also qualify or quantify what is longevity? So you're going to do protein restriction, but you know what? You are going to be bedridden for the last 5 to 10 years of your life. You are not going to be able to walk. And if you break a hip, you're done. But don't worry, we're going to keep you alive. The alternative is you're going to optimize for dietary protein. You're going to live 6 months less, and you're going to be jacked and tan. I mean, I'm teasing, and this isn't, I don't want the listener to be like, oh my God, she's making these, black and white statements. This conversation, it really is for the audience. And the goal is to bring transparent conversations and perspective back rather than blindly listening to what we are hearing. Again, the other thing we always have to ask is who stands to profit? Why are we having these conversations? I'm a trained geriatrician. I'm trained in the end of life. There is nothing worse than seeing an individual who has fallen and broken a hip and cannot ever walk unassisted again.
Yeah, and do you want to be built like David Sinclair?
I mean, he's a fine scientist. He's a fine scientist.
Hey, he's not jacked and tan, though, right?
He's a fine scientist, and I think that we all want to do the best that we can for the world.
Right.
However, there is a certain responsibility that comes with what are the unintended consequences of the statements that we are making. This whole protein and cancer, give me a break.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you like this clip, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what you liked about it. All right. Share this with a friend. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And also, we are on Reddit and Discord. All that's down below. All our sponsors and everyone that supports us down below there too. So you can get whatever you like from us. All right. Peace.